Good morning. Today we're going to talk about making good decisions. As you get older, that means that you will be making more decisions for yourself. And it is important to make good decisions. So today we're also going to talk about what to do if you make a bad decision, how to make these decisions, and there's a model called the Great Decisions Model that can be helpful. So when faced with a decision, sometimes you will have just a couple of options, and sometimes there will be multiple options. Sometimes you are forced to make a decision very quickly, and sometimes you will have a length of time to make that decision. But all decisions that you make do have consequences. There are positive consequences that may improve your health, improve your opportunities in life, improve family relationships and other relationships, improve your financial situation, and improve your community. But there are also negative consequences. The decisions you make may result in poorer health for yourself or for others. Things like sexually transmitted diseases, illnesses from tobacco and alcohol and drug use, injuries from car accidents. All of these things are negative consequences from decisions that you make. You also may have changes in your opportunities. If you get poor grades, that may affect your ability to take other classes, go on to college, your job opportunities. If you were to have a teenage pregnancy, that would have a definite influence on your opportunities in life. If certain decisions may, again, affect your health, so that and poor health can affect your opportunities. Something that a lot of times teenagers aren't aware of or don't think about is that if you get arrested for something, this can have long-term consequences. A lot of times juveniles are under the mistaken thought that no one can access their juvenile record, and that's not always true. Not to mention that going from 17 to 18 means that, you may still be in high school and your friends are still young, but you're all of a sudden an adult. And if you get charged with a drug arrest or have a felony on your record, there are so many jobs these days that do background checks, and you may all of a sudden find yourself not able to pursue a career that you are interested in. So you need to really, think long term about some of the decisions that you make. Other consequences that are negative, your family may be affected. Obviously, things that affect your opportunities may impact them financially. And also, relationships can be negatively impacted if your parents or other family members are very disappointed in the decisions that you've made. This can have a negative impact on what was once a positive relationship. Also, the decisions you make, the choices you make on where you spend your money may mean that you don't have money left for the real necessities of life, food and rent and things like that, education. So making the decisions on whether you're going to spend your money on tobacco and alcohol and drugs, or even just things like buying a car or buying electronics that are really more than you can afford, can mean that you don't have money for the things that you need to have money for. So all decisions that you make do have consequences. And then you will have whatever your decisions are will affect your community. If you make decisions that have a negative impact on your community, sometimes teenagers get involved in vandalism. They think it's just a lark, but somebody's going to pay for the damage that you've done. To repair it and things like that. Also, it makes people feel less safe in your community, and it can lower property values, opportunities. So anytime there's a negative activity within your community, it will affect the entire community, even though you think, oh, this only affects me. No, there will be others that will be affected by those choices. But there are, of course, some decisions that do only affect yourself, and some decisions that are pretty minor. If you choose to wear green today rather than blue, that's a pretty minor decision and probably isn't going to have any of these big long-term, effects. But other decisions that you think only affect you can have effects on others. Things like drinking and driving. You get in the car and you think, I'm safe to drive, or if I get in an accident, it'll only hurt me. But when in effect, you could have an accident that injures severely or hurts someone else. So, you have to really think about that your decisions do have the impact to affect others. Other things are like not wearing your seatbelt. People a lot of times think, well, again, that only affects me. But if you get injured and there's a lot of medical costs, that's a cost to the community. If you are long-term disabled, you can no longer have a productive job. There are expenses required to care for you. So other people are impacted by that decision. By not voting, a lot of people complain about what happens in government. But if you choose not to vote, then you're choosing not to take part in our, democracy and to share your opinion in a way that can make a difference. And then also in this age, we need to really think about what we say on and post in social media. Sometimes we're doing it for fun, thinking about ourselves and our friends, but other people are going to see these things and it may be hurtful to them and may have a negative effect on them that you don't intend, but it can be negative like that. And then you have to always remember that the stuff that goes online is always online. So you're 15, 16, you're not really thinking about, wanting to get a job when you're later or even getting into college. Everyone goes and looks through, people's Facebook and Twitter and tries to see, what kind of a person they are by things they post. So you want to make sure that your online person that you project, it really reflects who you are. So make sure that the decisions that you make about that are appropriate also. But no one's perfect. We all make bad decisions. So, if you do make a bad decision, it hopefully isn't the end of the world. Hopefully it's something that you and others will recover from. So try not to panic. Get advice. When you've made a bad decision, if it's a significant one, get advice from people that you respect, friends you respect, parents, teachers, a coach, an adult who you feel that you can trust, maybe if it's something you don't want to discuss with your parents, but other people who you feel you can trust and will give you good advice. Talk with them, see what they can help guide you on how to deal with that. If you did hurt someone by making a bad decision, apologize to them. It's amazing how far that goes. It can be one of the most difficult things you do, but if you really show them that you're very sorry for the mistake that you made and apologize, that really can help. The other thing is take responsibility. Maybe in a careless moment you participated in some vandalism. Offer to help clean it up, repair things. Be responsible for those actions. And don't blame others. Don't shift the blame. Don't say, it was really my brother or it was these guys over here. Take responsibility. These types of actions, even when you've made a poor decision, will make others respect you. For even though maybe they didn't respect that decision, they'll respect how you handled it afterwards. So those are things you can do if you've made a bad decision. So how do you make good decisions? Try to avoid snap judgments for anything that's a major decision. So if it's a really big decision, a significant amount of money, a significant time commitment, a decision to do something illegal, things like that, try not to let anyone pressure you into making that decision quickly. There are all kinds of businesses out there that's the way they function. They want to make you make that decision, right now. We'll give you a better deal if you make this decision today rather than waiting till tomorrow. So try not to, be pressured into making quick decisions on things that are really major. Sleeping on it can really help. That's kind of one of those old things that's always been around, but it's amazing how research really does show that if we sleep on our problems, sometimes in the morning we do have a better outlook on them, that it does help our brain process and work through it. So that is always a good idea. Another thing that a lot of people find helpful is to make a list. So if you are trying to decide between 2 or 3 options, sit down and make a list of, okay, what would be the good about doing this? Maybe you're deciding between a couple of different colleges or something like that. What would be the benefit of this college? What would be the negative of that college? What would be the benefit of this college? What would be the negative of that college? So make those lists, and sometimes by writing it out, and then you can say, okay, yeah, maybe this one has a longer list of positives, but this positive over here is the one that really matters to me. Or, boy, these are, in a lot of ways, I like this college better, but it's so far away from home, and I don't want to be that far away. So even though maybe this college isn't as ideal as I think that other one is, it's only a couple hours away from home, and I really want to be closer to home. So it helps you kind of prioritize the different options and the pros and cons of each option. So making lists. And then again, get advice. Friends, parents, and again, those trusted adults. Hopefully, somewhere you've worked with an adult who you can trust, who you can sit down, maybe an adult who, has more knowledge about that area. If you're trying to decide on a college and you're going to major in something, but your parents aren't really familiar with that area that you're interested in, maybe talking to the teacher at school who's helped influence you and worked with you in that interest would be a better person to kind of get their input on evaluating the different colleges. So, think about who in your life could give you good advice. Then also the Great Decisions model is just a process that you can go through as you're making decisions. And what they've done is they've used the word great, and then the beginning of each letter in that word then stands for a sentence so that you can help you remember it. So for G, it says give thought. So you want to give thought to the problem, think it through. Again, don't make a snap decision. Give yourself time to think about it. R stands for review your choices. So again, what are the different options that I have? I could choose to go out with this group of friends and do this tonight. I could choose to go out with that group of friends and do a different thing tonight, maybe that is not as dangerous or not as risky. Or I could choose to do something with my family, or I could choose to stay home and watch TV or read a book. So think about what are your options? Review those. Sometimes we don't think about all of the options that are there. And that also can be a good reason to talk to adults, because sometimes they see options that you're not aware of yet, just because of their greater experience. Then E stands for evaluate the consequences of each choice. So again, you're trying to decide what to do this evening. Well, if I stay home and read, that's probably, I may not have as much fun as if I go out with my friends, but I'm not likely to get into trouble or anything like that. If I go out with this group of friends, it'll cost me this much, and, this is the benefit. I like this group of friends better, but they plan to do something that's illegal, and so the consequences of going out with them is I could get arrested, I could get injured, things like that. So think about what are the different consequences of the decisions that you make. So after you've done those 3 things, then A stands for assess. So, look at those different things you've thought through and assess and make the best choice. And then T stands for think about it afterwards. So, after you've made these decisions, the next day, maybe you'd made that decision to go out with the friends and do something that was illegal, and you didn't get in trouble. You didn't get caught. Nothing bad happened that night, but it made you really stressed out. It made you worried. And so the next day, think about that. How did I feel doing that? Is that something I want to do again? Or if they ask me to do that next time, should I make the decision not to do that because I really didn't, it wasn't enjoyable to me, and I know that risk is still there. So think about, after you've made the decision, whether you think that was a great decision I made, that was an okay decision, or that was a really bad decision, and I don't want to make that decision again. So hopefully these will help, you make decisions in the future. And again, don't forget, use the adults in your life. They may, like I said, they may see positive or negative consequences that you might not see. Also, they can provide support to you when you make an unpopular decision. You can always say, my dad won't let me do this. Whether your dad said that or not, you can always blame your dad. So, or if they know you're making a decision that's unpopular, they at least have your back. And so that you're not there alone. And they also, sometimes you're only thinking about how things are going to affect you. They may see that, boy, this is your best friend here, and they want to do this, and you're going to, you've been made this commitment to do this with your best friend for months, and now all of a sudden somebody else has asked you to do something else, and you want to go do that. They may remind you how hurtful that may be to your friend that you've made this other plan with. So, sometimes they can help you see those other consequences. So, like I said, use them. That's what they're there for. They care about you and they want the best for you. Another thing about that comes along with decision making is what's called collaboration. And collaboration is just a fancy name for making decisions together. And this is something that particularly as you become an adult is a really important thing that you do. You'll make decisions with your spouse if you're married, and your family. And so it's not always easy to do that when you make decisions together. At school, you probably have some projects that you work with other classmates, and this is a good learning environment when you have to work with other students, because then as you get older and you go into the workforce, you will be have to work with others, and so you're going to learn those skills that make you be successful, and learning to listen to one another, learning to compromise, how to make the best decision, and things like that. So that's an important part of decision making. Also, is learning to make decisions with others. So hopefully this has given you some ideas on how to handle making decisions in your future. Thank you. Goodbye.